Hi, and welcome to Manned Up Conversations, where we connect with evolving men to discuss issues around masculinity and manhood, and also provide tools to help us be better for our society.
Because if you wanted to be there, you would have been there a long time ago, right? So we kind of look, okay, you're here, you want to be here. What's getting in the way? What's the story you're telling yourself about yourself, right? And then we look at all those stumbling blocks, those voices that you tell yourself, and probably half the time those voices are, but you're not good enough.
Yeah,
you're useless. You're not gonna make it. You know. And it's about how do we confront those voices, and we get through it, not around it, because we tried going. You got to get through that. And what's it like being here?
Welcome to it, man. This is another installment of Manned Up Conversations. I'm here with a brilliant brother of mine today, man, Mr. Mervin Canham. Mervin, man, I love your surname, bro. Welcome to the show, man. First,
thank you.
So where's Canham? Where's Mervin Canham from, man?
It's I suppose it's what the stereotype that came from apartheid was that whole thing of that colored term.
Sure.
So it came from there, I suppose. Is being colored and being separated from blacks. So Canham comes from, I suppose there's definitely some element of European kind of vibes there, something there.
Yeah.
Some English descent kind of thing, you know.
Okay.
But originally my parents are from Lusigi. My mom's from Lusigi, my dad's from Durban. There's that. You know? Yeah.
But I heard that. I'm like, I know this man is coming from England. Hailing all the way from England. This is the man Mervin. But my brother, man, one thing, when we did the episode with my brother Oots, he gave me a shout and he said, yo, Mervin wants to get involved, man. And he's from the Mankind Project. And I was like, what? Yeah. You know, when I think of Mankind Project, man, it's one of those organizations that I look at. It's like, you know, they reach that pinnacle of understanding what it takes to engage a man, you know, and really bring out his soul, man. But, you know, you're part of the Mankind Project, and tell us a bit about that, man. What's the Mankind Project all about, and how did you get involved with that?
So interesting story. Back in the day, my sponsor at the time, so I'm a recovering alcoholic and a recovering addict, and my sponsor at the time was like, listen, there's this thing I need you to do, you know, I want you to go do. There's this thing, it's called the Mankind Project, but he didn't tell me much about it, you know. He didn't say, listen, this is what goes down, this is what happens on the weekends, you know, that kind of thing. And anyway, I did it, and I guess I drank from the Kool-Aid, right? And I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
And I've been involved. And what is it? Well, personally, for me, what I found was a brotherhood. You know, a big brotherhood, a space where I could be vulnerable with other men, where I could be real, authentic with other men, without the size of my wallet.
Important one, right there.
Exactly, you know, the size of my penis and all of that shit, you know, all of that stuff. And also the way I grew up was also based on, you know, we got to be hard, I got to be tough. Men don't cry, you know. So for me, I just found a space where I could just be authentic and just be myself. You know?
Yeah, man.
So I really, really, really appreciate that space, you know.
Sure.
It saved my life. I love the work we do. I love the impact. The model is changing the world one man at a time. And we run the New Warrior Adventure Training twice a year in Joburg, and we do it twice a year in Cape Town. We're actually doing it 3 times a year now in Cape Town.
Wow.
Obviously, it stopped with COVID. But yeah, and I mean, I suppose also I struggled during the pandemic, you know, because we couldn't have circles, we couldn't meet. A lot of it was done via Zoom. but I missed the contact, you know.
Yeah,
I missed the for me, I like this stuff, you know. I don't like looking at a man through a screen, you know. For me, it's about that conversation. It's about seeing your facial reaction. I suppose it's that intimacy. And when I talk about intimacy, I talk about you seeing my heart, you seeing my soul, and I seeing your soul. You know what I mean? And that's what it is for me. The New Warrior Adventure Training is a powerful, impactful weekend that could change a man's life. You know, and I suppose it's about like it's about we're all imperfect. We're all imperfect men. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And through our imperfections, it's about you know, having real conversations through our imperfections, and you know, just talking about our struggles, and you know, because what happens after the weekend is that you go into a primary integration group, which is called a PIT group, and for 10 weeks it's first facilitated by a facilitator, and then when you're done, the guys that you did the weekend with, your brothers, the participants, the guys you got close to, you guys carry on with that I group, you know. And for me, I've been in the I group for years now, and you know, it's just an intimate space where I can, you know, we meet every second Wednesday, and we've been running strong. And I mean, I think throughout those years also, you know, some of the men have left and some of the men have gone to other I groups. I'm looking at changing and going to a different space as well, a different I group. But I love the fact that, you know, that I have the support from that I'm not alone, you know, because I think, you know, for a large part of my life was that I felt alone, and I had to kind of just figure it out. And I mean, I think there's no manual on how to be a man in this world, you know, especially what's happening in this world. So, yeah, it's scary times. I mean, also, like, I mean, I look at, like, you know, the suicide rate. And the suicide rate in this country is very high with especially particular black men killing themselves. And, you know, it kind of leaves a question mark for me of, you know, what's going on. And I think the burden of being a man is that I've got to carry everything on my own. I've got to be tough. I've got to be strong. I can't ask for help. And, you know, through the pandemic, I haven't been working since December. And a large part of that is like I had to eat humble pie and ask for help. Just ask for help. Go to my sister. You know, living at my sister and asking for help, you know. Because from being this independent man, I could pay my way. I was paying the rent. I was paying child support. I got 2 kids, and not having a job. I'm like, okay.
What now, man?
Exactly, right? What now? And I'm scared, and it's scary, and it's like, shit, what am I going to do? Fuck. And I'm freaking out, you know? And what's interesting is when I kind of operate from my trauma brain of like, I get so fearful of things, and then I start freaking myself out. And then I can't think, right? And then I can't see the woods for the trees, you know? Because I'm so fearful and scared of what's going to happen, what should I do? And as soon as I calm down, I can pick up a phone. I've got another mentor also in Cape Town, and he says, you know, do you want to have a hard conversation? And we have hard conversations and the one piece that I learned was, he said to me, listen, no one's going to save you.
Oh man, that's a powerful statement right there.
Like, you need to say
that's yourself. A powerful statement right there. Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, it's you know, it's not like I'm going to, you know, wait at Park Station and, you know, for someone to collect me. It's not going to happen.
You got to do something, man.
I got to do something. You know, and slowly I have. slowly I have. Just one day at a time, dress up and show up, you know.
Sure.
I mean, I've had my days where I'm just want to be in bed and just avoid life.
Yes, sir.
And I don't want to eat and I don't want to wake up. And I'm just done with this life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I hate this life.
Yeah.
And it's out to get me, and everyone's out to get me. And I'm not good enough, and I'm useless. And I feel like a piece of shit. But that's not true, man. That's not true. And it's weird. Like, so many blessings. If you had to ask me in this, I mean, what are we now? In the 8th month.
In the 8th month of the year.
Already, right?
Yeah.
So
it feels like we're in the 2nd month, but
so for 8 months.
Sure.
So for 8 months, if you ask me, because not working, right? In these 8 months, I promise you, I've not been to bed hungry. I have a roof over my head. My sister was saying to me, it's interesting, you don't work, right? But you're always going on holiday.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I did. I did this thing called Vipassana. I did a 10-day silent retreat in Worcester.
Oh man.
I did that.
Oh, man.
I staffed a lot of MKP weekends when we just started running in October last year.
Yeah,
I did 2 weekends. So I've been, just involved in MKP, immersing myself into that, being of service, being there for others, because I think it helps me get out of my head,
Exactly.
Being of service, because instead of kind of being in my head and kind of, poor me, life's hard. When I step out of me land or I land, I can be of service to others. And what happens is the focus is not on me. Do you get what I mean? And I can be of service to others, and I can see the beauty in the world, and I can appreciate the world for what it is. So I'm extremely grateful. I'm grateful and I'm not dead.
Man.
I'm grateful I'm not dead. I mean, 2 weeks ago, we just buried my... No, I'm talking... this weekend, that passed away. Wow. My cousin passed away about...
Wow.
My cousin passed away about... He was, 36.
Wow, man.
He was also living with my sister. One of the problems in my family is alcoholism, and he drank, and he ended up in hospital, lung infection, and I spoke to him probably 3 days before he passed away. So no, a day before he passed away, and he's like, "Listen, I'm coming out at the end of the month." He was in Tembisa Hospital, and he passed away. The Sunday morning, I got the news that he passed away. So I spoke to him like the Friday, and I think for me, what I really took from that is, I kind of feel like it's more like now my responsibility,
Sure.
To do something as because knowing what I know, knowing I'm an alcoholic, knowing that I'm an addict and I'm in recovery and I'm doing something about it, it kind of feels like I should step up more,
Yeah, man.
To my family. I mean, a cousin of mine just came out of prison. And he's, hungry for recovery now. I think he hit rock bottom. When he wants a different experience, he's sick and tired of being sick and tired. So he's living at my parents', wanting to build his life as well,
Yeah.
And I think, it's for me, it's like, how do I be there for him? But at the same time, I don't want to get hurt, I don't want to extend myself too much and then he fails,
man.
I
wanna get in on that, man. Because you've said so much right now, in terms of what, and I think a lot of what you're speaking on comes from, the work you obviously did on yourself through MKP, right? And also having that fellowship of brothers around you, you know, to kind of show you that, yeah, oh, Merv, man, you're actually stepping out of bounds there. This is where we're going, yeah. And then you also, in that work that you're doing, you kind of like, oh, man, I actually have like a whole family. Like, you know, your brothers are coming up now. We're talking about your brother in jail who just came out and one who passed on. That kind of work that you did made you so much more responsible and want to give that help, right? Sure. But the problem, or maybe the issue with that, is sometimes we take that someone's failure as our own, right? But, you know, you're trying your best, man. You know, you shouldn't beat yourself up for someone else's failure, because then you internalizing that as like, man, I wasn't there enough for that person.
And just speaking on that, just to jump in, I think the one thing I kind of felt was when my cousin passed away now recently was that, you know, sometimes we kind of get like, I think like for me personally, it kind of made me think about like being unresourced as brothers, you know, like not having resources to. So even if I say to the brother, you know, hey, let's go to an AA meeting, and I bounce and I leave or whatever,
sure,
you know, is he gonna go back to that space? Is there gonna be a resource? You know, is there resources? Is there that motivation? Does that area, does that place support him to win? And it kind of feels like sometimes, you know, like a lot of us want to do good, a lot of us want to win, as black brothers, and I just feel like we don't have the resources. So that kind of leaves me feeling sad and powerless. I mean, I look at you, like, for example, and the work you're putting in, you know, and your dedication to what you're doing and the course, you know, you're doing a lot of beautiful work. And I'm just glad, you know, like I was saying to you earlier, you know, that I feel like the universe is supporting you, you know, in your journey.
Yes, sir.
And there's resources.
Yes, sir.
So you resourced as well, you know, so, and I think sometimes, you know, I should actually appreciate, and we should appreciate the fact that we have those resources, you know, because I mean, I'm thinking like, you know, even if I went to go live in the hood at my mom and my dad's place, I'd be unresourced, you know, I'd be super unresourced because there's no Wi-Fi, you know, they're on pension, and does that environment support me? No,
definitely not.
You know what I mean? And I think through it all, I just had to ask for help, man. You know, just ask for help. And I mean, I mean, there's a friend of mine that, you know, I call, and I go to his house, and his wife always invites me in. And I just go there to just vent and just breathe and just, you know, talk. And it's just to go vomit of like what's going on. I mean, because I had jobs here and there and they didn't work out, you know. And then it's also like that I get flustered and I get overwhelmed of, oh crap, what am I going to do? And I just have to fuss bait and just like take it one day at a time, man. As I'm talking to you, I'm just like I feel sad. There's a lot of sadness, but there's also just like a lot of gratitude, you know.
Yeah, man.
To be alive. Like I said, I'm glad I'm not dead.
Man. And you know, bro, Merv, man, you talk about the sadness that you're feeling, and you really have to be from out of this world not to feel that, right? Because you also deal with the work that you're doing, sort of similar to me. I get to hear like these kind of stories, right? I get to hear people struggle. And, you know, you talk about now help, you know, and the humbling part of going out there and saying, yo, I need help, you know? So when you are now in those movements of like, shit, man, I think now I'm down, man. You know? You speak about this lady where you go and you vent, right? You know, how important do you think that is for a lot of us guys, right? And I mean, it doesn't have to be a lady, it doesn't have to be a man.
Yeah,
know?
Exactly.
It could
be anyone.
It could be anyone. But like, you know, how important is that reaching out, yeah? And also, man, the being humble enough to tell yourself that, man, I'm in trouble here. Let me actually step back and surrender to this, because I'm not gonna make it out of this thing if I try to keep fighting, right? And I wanna say that to you, and I say that to you, by the way, because I'm also going through like hectic stuff right now, bro. I'm relocating. You know, I've been in Joburg now since 2005 when I left Pretoria, right? Studied, you know, had jobs and that type of thing. But I'm at this point now, I'm doing man-up conversations and I'm loving the work I'm doing. But guess what God does, bro? It's like, nope. Okay, so you think you love this? Well, let me show you, right? Let me take this away from you, right? My source of income is gone now, right? Let me take your place away from you. Who are you, KG? Without any of these things. That takes me back to what you said earlier of you went to MKP, to the Warrior Training Program, and what you found in that weekend is it doesn't matter what you have in your pockets, man. So I have to live that now.
You hitting the nail on the head, because for me, a large part of my life was I was the addictions counselor, right? That's who I was. I was the addictions counselor.
Yes, sir.
In a rehab, I was this guy, 30K salary, you know, super kind of, you know, I suppose it's like comfortable.
Yeah.
Comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uncomfortable, comfortable.
Yeah,
but let's say more comfortable.
Like,
right?
I'm good. Yeah. You know, I can be broke.
Buying sneakers every month.
You know,
buying sneakers every month.
I'm only broke because I'm squandering this money. You know, but I'm good. Yeah.
You know, stupid shit. I mean, even in my I mean, I do like crazy crap. It's like my ex would say to me, like, why do you buy so much shoes? I'm like, well, you know, because I grew up poor. And there was always this justification that, you know, I should have this.
I deserve it.
I deserve it.
I worked hard for it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But coming back to what you said, that what stood out for me was, who am I? So does my self-worth, does my net worth equal self-worth, right? And that's the piece. So who am I without that money in the bank?
Yeah.
You know, who am I without that money in the bank? And that's the kind of conversation I had to have with myself. Of, who am I as a man? And that, it left me feeling it's like a yo-yo.
Yes, sir.
Up, down.
Yes, sir.
Fear. I'm super overwhelmed, and I'm super grateful. Just that I've just been taken care of. Like you speak of God. God's been taking care of me.
Yeah, man.
I have no doubt that me, left to my own devices, no, this is not me. Even me sitting here today, this is not me. This is God. Do you get what I mean? So the fact that I woke up this morning is God. You know, the fact that I'm motivated is God.
Yes, sir.
You know, not me. Sure, there's the part where I make the decision to wake up every day and show up. And do what I have to do. And there are those difficult days where I'm just like,
I want to do it.
Nah, not today.
Man.
Not today.
Yeah. Tired of fighting.
Yeah. And obviously, being a South African, it's more, and being in Joburg, it's more, I was talking to this other kid yesterday, and it's like, and he works at the bar, and he was like, I was like, where are your parents? It's like, well, my mom died when I was 15, and my dad left. I've been on my own since I was 16. I'm 19 now.
Jeez. Had to figure it out somehow, man.
But the humility. And I don't think, and I don't like that, to compare stories. I don't think it's about comparing stories or saying his pain's bigger than my pain, because equally we're all carrying our own load, and that load means something to us. But I think what I took from him was like, there's no time for being a victim,
Yeah.
In this world.
Oh.
And I just, like, for me, like, I turned around and I said, "You're my hero,"
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
He doesn't feel like a simple thing. He was pouring a can of appetizer, and he said to me, "Sharing's caring," and he offered someone half of it.
Man.
So I think what's really like just mind blowing for me is, people have such a little, but it's about the heart, So him as a 19-year-old and me as I'm turning 40 this year. I learned so much, I'm super emotional about it. I'm just
I feel you, bro. I feel you. And you're learning this from a little kid, man.
Dude.
I want to speak on that, Merv, man. With us guys, and the thing about it is we look at youngsters and we're like, these boys are out of line, man. I'm not gonna listen to these kids. They don't know what they do.
These kids are my heroes these days.
These kids right now, man, they on some next stuff, man.
My sister's kid, he's my hero.
They are on next stuff, man.
My sister's kid, he's an entrepreneur. That kid,
man.
He is next level. That kid used to sell sweets at school. That kid's still selling shit today. You know what I mean?
Because he learned, let me do it. Let me try it. Man.
Those kids are my heroes.
What am I afraid of, right?
Yeah, no.
That's what you spoke about now.
Dude.
You say, you in this world, this bubble of, hey, man, I don't know how to, because you're depressed or you're thinking, hey, I don't have what now, so people don't look at me the same, right? But having that childlike mentality, right? And maybe mindset, not mentality. Let me say mindset. Because when you're childlike, and I'm not saying childish, childlike is you open to things, right? You want to learn, you want to grab from as much as possible. But we grow up and we get these wounds, these traumas that then keep us reminding us that, hey, if you try that, this is going to happen. Stay safe, right? So, what do you think we need to do, man, to kind of get those things off of us? Right?
Well, I mean, I'm still stuck on hip hop. So anyway, I listen to a lot of Common, right? I listen to a lot of Common,
yes,
and Common talks a lot about healing. He talks about therapy. He talks about he talks about all that stuff. And for me, that's the stuff, right? For me, that's where the healing. For me, this is the healing. The healing is me opening up and moving away from that, typical old school guy story of, who you hooked up with last night and all of that stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, you need to forget that.
Yeah.
You need to forget that.
that like old school hood thinking,
Sure.
Of who I was with and whatever. For me, it's about sitting in circles. For me, it's about going to therapy. And shout out to my therapist. I went to see my therapist not so long ago. I went there broke.
Man.
She still saw me,
Man.
And there's just all these gifts, man. There's just all these gifts. So I think for me, the important thing is, it's just having spaces where I feel I belong, where I feel like I fit in. I mean, I think that's also for me, like with Narcotics Anonymous, with Alcoholics Anonymous, those spaces, I fit into those spaces. I'm loved in those spaces because those people want me to win, right? And being with my tribe, for me, that's where the healing is at. So I had to learn this. Is just just opening up and talking about the uncomfortable shit,
man.
The uncomfortable shit. Talking about the trauma that you spoke about. Talking about that. Talking about what it was like growing up in an alcoholic home where my dad was beating my mom up. I had to witness that stuff, where I was scared, where I grew up in a colored township, right? And I had braces. And I had specs. And I had eczema. So my life was pretty over.
Life was over, man.
Already.
So it wasn't fun for you to walk on the streets, man.
And I spoke English in an Afrikaans neighborhood.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So you were
then already I was like cheese
the
boy.
outcast.
I was cheese boy already, So that was the thing, right? And so for me, a lot of the work was I didn't belong. I felt like I didn't belong. Even at home, I felt like I didn't belong. Man. I felt like when I looked at my friends' families, I was like, shit, I wish I was in that family. Man. Because that shit looked good, It looked good. It looked a bit like the Cosbys, before the bullshit,
The old school Cosbys. We can't say the old school because that's when it all happened. Okay. So the Cosby on TV.
Men, us, men, Exactly. Hollywood stuff,
Man.
Through doing the work and through healing and, staying in MKP, obviously confused, lost, I kind of found my way.
Yeah.
In this organization, I found my voice.
Yes, sir.
I found my gold. I found my gold. I found my power. I found my secret, my secret weapon. And my power is my pain. Because my power comes from my pain. You know what I mean? And how I navigate in the world, where I can navigate in white spaces, where I can navigate in black spaces. And that's my power. Do you know what I mean? I have that, I have that magical thing, that like something that's there where I can navigate in the world and kind of get where I need to get to. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of been, I like at the moment I'm kind of working at another psychiatric hospital where I run a group every second Wednesday for 2 hours, And for me, it's about like, okay, so you're here in your life, you're stuck. Where do you want to be? And we kind of look at, okay, this is the place that you want to be. What's getting in the way of you being there? Because if you wanted to be there, you would have been there a long time ago, right? So we kind of look, okay, you're here, you want to be here. What's getting in the way? What's the story you're telling yourself about yourself, right? And then we look at all those stumbling blocks, those voices that you tell yourself, and probably half the time those voices are, but you're not good enough.
Yeah,
you're useless. You're not gonna make it. And it's about how do we confront those voices, and we get through it, not around it, because we tried going. You got to get through that. And what's it like being here?
And that's the beauty of it, man.
And a lot of the work in MKP is about that. What's getting in the way of your brilliance? Because it's about us living our truth, us living in our gold, our beauty. And there's so much. And what happens is the shadow like kind of takes over that, and we don't get to see your gold. And for me, that's and this is your gold. This is your gold. You know what I mean? This is your gold. Doing this shit. This is your gold, bro. Do you know what I mean? This is your shit.
You spoke to my heart right there.
Exactly, because this is your shit.
Because Merv, talking about stories that we tell ourselves, right? I grew up, man, thinking I'm quiet, I'm shy. I don't have much to offer. I don't have much to say. And bro, a good friend of mine who passed away, man, and it's interesting what loss does to us, right? And this guy saw me. When I say someone saw me, man, saw me in a way that I never saw myself, right? And he kept on putting these gold nuggets in my head every conversation we had, right? And at the time, it didn't make any sense because this was back in, I can say I started hanging with this guy in 2008. We're in 2022 now. This guy passed away in 2013, right? And I promise you, 2013 to about 2014, I was not okay, man. You know, if I actually think back to those days, I can't even remember like how my days were. You know, my hair was a mess. I was like super skinny. You know, I didn't care for anything. I don't want nothing. I was like, man, I lost this homie who spoke so much life into me, right? And people were saying, yo, KG, I was writing raps at the time. Like, this is the best time for you to put out music. I was like, nah, not gonna happen, you know? Because I had to think about, man, what was this guy telling me about myself? And now that I'm doing this, a lot of what I sit and think about is, but KG, you had to live, as you're saying, go through it, not around it. You know? I had to live through that mess. And no one really saw that, you know?
Sure.
But then when I came out, then it's like, oh man, this is not even my first podcast, by the way. This is my second podcast. You know, I worked on another one. So it's actually 3 in a matter of like, 2 years? Put out three podcasts. But the podcast plan is from 2011. So it's been, sitting at the back of my mind and I've been working on it and going through the story of, nah, I'm not good. Who's gonna listen to KG? You know, who wants to listen to this guy, right? But then I had to look at myself again and say, but hey man, this is what I believe about myself. I can do this. I changed courses in school to study this because I thought to myself, well, why live a life that's not me? You know, why follow whoever I thought was that person that I needed to be like, right? So like there's that journey that we all need to go through. And if you listen to Manned Up, we refer to that quite a lot, the journey of a man, which is what Manned Up is really all about, right? So when we go now to the New Warrior training program, and I love the name, New Warrior, you know, you're not talking about a new, I don't know, new man. You know, you could have used any other word, but words are powerful and use warrior because I think as you grow up and you go through these things, you're being sharpened, right? All of those soft edges are being trimmed off, and I'll call them soft edges. You know, you can debate it if you want. There is a bit of softness that needs to be cut for us to be that warrior. So how do you encourage guys who want to sign up for the New Warrior program? Like, where do you need to be in your life? You know?
Sure.
Because one thing that I keep picking up with guys is like, yeah, no, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, or hey, I don't have time. But man, there's no time like now, right? But I mean, you know, in your experience and what you would tell someone who's considering, okay, sounds interesting, but like, what do I need to go there?
What do you need? I think what you need is a willingness. And an open-mindedness, you know, to this experience of, you know, wanting to show up for yourself. I mean, obviously, I think with the weekend, we don't kind of tell you what happens on the weekend, you know, but I think it's more of, you know, if you trust the man, you know, that is inviting you, that wants you to do a weekend, it comes from a place of love and concern. I mean, I've had, you know, my dad did the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad did the weekend. Actually, me and my dad are going to Cape Town together in October to go staff.
Come on.
To go staff on a MKP weekend. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So basically, I had to create that world that I wanted. You know, so I needed to create that world, the world that I want to live in. So when I came into MKP was super white,
man.
And the decision I made was, instead of me living in the problem, and complaining about it, what do I do about it? So the last weekend that we had a 75% black weekend.
Wow.
That's the first time in history, in MKP history, that has happened.
Wow.
Do you get what I mean?
Yes,
and
sir.
I think it was 75% staff and 50% participants that were black.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
So basically, it all starts with someone that is willing, that has an intention to do something good and there's action.
Yes, sir.
You know, because for me, it's easy for me to talk, but then there's no action. You know, so how do I encourage someone? I mean, it's like yesterday. It's simple like yesterday. You know, the topic came up about MKP, and then the one guy's like, "Oh, you know, I went to an open circle. I was going through this da-da-da in my life," and I'm like, "Would you like to do the weekend?" "Yes, I'd like to do the weekend." "Okay, cool. I'm gonna get someone to sign you up. Someone's gonna give you a call today." "Oh, you know, I also want to do the weekend." "Okay, I'm gonna get someone to sign you up." Do you know what I mean? For me, it's about those moments. It's about I'm very, for me, and I get excited when this happens. I get overly excited. I mean, I get like a kid where I can't contain myself. But there's no better time than now.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what I mean? There's no better time than now. And there needs to be action. So instead of, you know, "Oh, let me take down your number and your name." Let's call the guy who does enrollment. He's going to enroll you now.
Done.
Do you know what I mean? Done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we want to do something. We're hungry. Let's go eat now.
Sure,
do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So,
but don't put it off. And like now, all of those thoughts that we were talking about, like, maybe this is gonna happen. Do it.
Because that's me. Yeah. I talk a good game, but then I don't do shit. Do you know what I mean? And I know this in my life. I can have brilliant ideas about being rich. Do you know what I mean? But then I'm just sitting on the couch and, like, you know, watching Netflix and doing nothing. You know. So for me, it's about I need to take responsibility. I need to do something. You know, so if someone, like, you know, I talk about MKP all the time. You know, I'll go to a gig. I went to a farm, a friend of mine's farm, and they did a vinyl retreat there. And, you know, I was talking to this guy. Like, "You don't want to do MKP? Okay, cool. What I'm going to do is I'm like, forward your number to someone else, and this person's going to call you." Do you know what I mean? So it's about those things. It's about the action, you know. So, and MKP always talks about accountability. You know, MKP talks about accountability, integrity, you know, and all of that stuff. And I need to show up. If I made an agreement, I need to show up. You know, if I tell you that, you know, let's meet, I need to show up. You know, because that tells me that I respect you.
Yes, sir.
And that I will also respect myself. If I don't keep to the appointment, what am I telling you? That you're not important. Exactly. You know what I mean? And my time is more important than your time. Do you know what I mean? And that's, no, like, I need to respect you. Do you know what I mean? So you can depend on me tomorrow. If something happens, you can pick up the phone and you can kind of go, okay. And that's what I do, you know? When I'm in shit, I'll go through my phone book. I'll be like, that person's got my back. That person's got my back. Do you know what I mean? Because they showed up.
Man.
You know?
Beautiful, man.
So,
and, you know, it's always like going back to the basics of manhood, you know? If I may call them the basics of manhood, you know? Honoring your word, man. And being there for your guys as well, right? There's something that you mentioned now a little bit earlier is in your programs is the guys that come together, right? We go away on a weekend, and after that, there's also a follow-up.
Oh yeah, that's important.
You're not just taking.
No, we're not selling you pipe dreams.
Like sure, get you riled up, and then we leave you dry to go do your own thing, right? Because that's also
it's a setup.
It's a setup because you're opening up some other serious things over that weekend, and then I have to go back and like I have to address all of this stuff by myself. No ways, bro. And it goes to that list that you talk about. Hey, I can go back on my phone and check that, hey, this person's got me, right? So
dude, I've been hungry this year. I go to someone's house. I've been hungry this year, like literally hungry for food. I go to I go to my homie's place. I'm like, listen, I'm hungry, dude.
And they got you, man.
Okay, there's bread. Make yourself this, that. Eat, you know.
Man.
So it's about that stuff, you know. Simple. So, and I like what you're talking about the follow up. There needs to be a follow up. Like, there's no cure. There's no like, okay, so you know, I'm cool now. I've done the weekend. I'm cool.
Nah.
And that's happened with other men as well. And I respect that. And I think, you know, it's not one shoe fits all. We're human beings.
Yes.
Some cats are, you know, it's like with my homies. Some of the cats got sober through church. That worked for me. Some of the homies did some other stuff, it worked for them. Me, I did the 12-step stuff, it worked for me. Well, 7 rehabs later, after that, So, and that stuff worked for me. So, but I know, it's important to have that safe place. That safe place is important where I can just be, where I can just vomit, where I can just be raw, where I can just talk about my truth, where I can talk about what's going on in my head. Because my head talks a lot of shit in my ear. Do you know what I mean? My head talks a lot of shit. My head wants to take me out. You know what I mean? There's like such a lot of lies in my head about who I am. Like my head will kill me, And that's the thing I need to get out of my head. This kind of shit, this conversation is helping me get out of my head because I'm being real. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, look at how your energy's changed from when we started this.
I'm high on this shit.
Man, I love
my shit.
And there's a word that I picked up, as you were saying now, when you hear someone wants to go on a weekend, it's like, boom, let's do it right now.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, you called Mark while we were like talking about, KG, you want to do the weekend? All right, boom, let's do it. But what I loved about that, man, when you picked up the phone, you said something, it's beautiful, man, how you doing, man? Yo, I mean, we don't tell another man that he's beautiful. I like that the Americans, we listen to hip hop. So Dave East has a song called Handsome, So how you doing, handsome? But handsome is like you're living good, you're doing good, right? But like to say to a man that you're beautiful, man, that puts like a very interesting feeling in your heart when someone says to you that you're beautiful. And I mean, we're not being dumb now and thinking that, that's a bit gay. Like, forget all of that, man. It's so refreshing to hear that, man. And I wanna talk to the language that you guys use.
Because there's also the feminine. And we need to honor the feminine, because we've got the feminine in us, the mother. I mean, we came from woman, right? So if a man's beautiful, I think it's about that connection. It's about that. For me, when we used to use a word in MKP, we used to say a hoe. And what that meant was honesty, open-mindedness, and authentic. And we kind of moved away from that word. But, it's about the acknowledgement. I see you, you see me, and all of me, because it's like that yin and yang vibe, There's good in me. There's also the other shit. There's the shadow in me, the parts of myself which I hide, deny, and suppress. Right? That's the shadow, the part of myself which I hide, deny, and suppress. I suppress it. I hide it. I mean, it's like that. Like, there's so much. There's so much in the world that we hide from other people. I mean, pornography's one of those things, that it's hidden. It's like hidden. It's done behind closed doors.
Oh man, that's a major secret.
There's just so much, that we hide, or that I hide. Let me speak for me. That I hide. But I think for me, if and also another brother from Lenasia, his name's Godell. He always says to me, "Beautiful man," as well, and that gives me that warmth feeling.
Yes, sir.
I'm loved,
Yeah,
and that's what it is.
Man. Yes,
because I want love. I want what I mean. Because this world is hard enough, and I think the essence of it is love. So it's in, like, for me, I love black love. Like when I look at it's. I used to watch the show at my sister's that played on. I think it was something on Netflix.
Yeah,
these like people that meet each other and then they fall in love. I can't even remember the name of the show, but anyway, and there was this black couple, man, and they just won and they got married. And the one day I was watching the show and I was like crying.
Wow.
I was crying because black love's possible. Do you get what I mean? And us, because also, this world is crazy. I mean, there's also it's crazy how we disrespect each other as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting also that how I judge you as a man. You know, it's always like, oh, what is he wearing? He's not wearing Jordans, wearing Converse.
Yeah.
What jeans is he wearing? You know, what watch does he, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like almost like that thing of your drunk uncle in the family. He says a lot of shit. He says dope stuff.
There's a lot
but we don't respect him because he doesn't have a job, right? But
if you actually listen there's a lot of knowledge coming out
there's so much gems. But we don't take him serious because why? He doesn't have a job. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like at a family meeting and he wants to talk about, you know, he wants to bring up something. No one's going to listen to him. We only listen to the guy that got a job. I need last you know what I mean? that kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just sad how for me, and like, I have a drunk uncle in my family. When I see him, he tells me, love me. I tell him I love him back because I love him. You know, for a long time, my dad used to always tell me he loves me when he was drunk. And I do believe him. Because that's, you know, for them, they didn't know how. I always say this, like, our parents did the best they could with what they had. There wasn't a manual on how to be a parent. I mean, how to be a parent. And when you look at, you know, for me, when I understood the way my mom grew up and the abuse she endured and the trauma she went through and my dad not knowing his dad, like how privileged am I still to have my dad till today, do you know what I mean, in my life? And we work with what we have. I mean, it's like the other day, it was my dad's birthday, June 15th? No, 17th, because I know it's June 16th and then 17th. And I was like, well, I don't have money, you know. I don't have money for to give him a gift or whatever. So we're going to make do with what we have. Let's go home and cook for him.
Oh, man.
You know?
Yes, sir. Do something, man.
Yeah, do something instead of kind of work with what we have. Because I think at the end of the day, you know what brokenness teaches me is it's not about the money, it's about the time. You know, the time spent. You know, and that's what I get when I spend time with my daughter, man. My 5-year-old, she fills my heart. I mean, she's in Italy at the moment with her mom. And obviously there's all these judgments of me. Like her mom's, you know, her mom's wealthy. You know, they can travel. I can't do that for her. So what's the story am I telling? What am I telling me about me? I'm telling, there's all this shit. So there's like the story that I tell myself. One of the stories I tell myself is, I won't be able to take my daughter on holiday. You know, so her mom's the better parent instead of me. Instead of you. You know, and that's lies. Like I think the important thing is just to work with what I have for now. But you know, it's like, you know, when you started this, it was a process, right? Yeah. It's like, how do we eat an elephant? One chunk at a time, one bite at a time, right? Man. Exactly. So I need to just kind of carry on with that. I mean, there's times it's like did I call my daughter this week? I didn't. Like, it's Thursday today. I'm like, did I call my daughter this week? I didn't. I didn't even video call. I mean, she's in Italy. And I'm like, why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I want to avoid. Because I'm also an avoider. You know, I avoid. I want to avoid. I want to avoid life. But the reality is, again, has MKP made me this perfect man? No. I'm an imperfect man in an imperfect world. You know, and I'm learning every day. And there's an awareness of wanting to be a better father, wanting to do it differently. When I see that, when I see my angel, I tell her I love her. I make sure that it needs to be there. I want to do stuff. I want to do it differently. You know, I've got an 11-year-old that I haven't seen nearly a year. She's in Durban with her mom. That's also some of the stuff that I avoid in my life. I don't want to talk about that stuff. You know, the relationship with her mom is hard. Her mom does, you know, me and her mom, we had a bad split up, and I cheated in the relationship. I hurt her mom deeply, and you know, now it's a very angry relationship where my daughter's being withheld from me, and and that's hard because I don't know how to navigate that space as well. I mean, I used to be abusive about that space. I call her and swear and tell her what, you know, how it's like mad she is and all of that.
Yeah.
And I stopped doing that. It's not helping. It doesn't help. And you know, it's like, well, you won't see your daughter today. And I just, you know, lose my shit. And I don't want to do that. I don't do that no more. Because it doesn't serve anyone. I just get frustrated. And she gets frustrated as well. And I haven't seen my daughter in a long time. And I miss her. Of course I miss her. I love her. I'm a dad. I want to be in her life. You know? And those are like some of the things. Dude, I just don't know how to, like, I don't know what to do. You know?
I think I want to close on that one, man. So, man, being resourceful and being able to hustle and get things is part of a man. You know? It's what, as much as the world is now saying, you don't have to figure it out on your own. You don't have to. You can reach out to people, but you still have to have that hustle, you know, and wanting to go out there and get it. So, man, what would you want to close with in terms of providing hope, like you say, being authentic, and reaching out, dude. I think those are the three things that to me throughout this conversation were like the key themes that kept on coming up is, and also having connection, you know, or a circle of men who can speak into your life, not fix you, but they can speak into your life and give you the resources for you to see, okay, this is what I can do and that, you know. So in terms of a close, you know, how would you advise someone, you know, from your personal interactions in that, dude, equip yourself with these things. How can you go about doing that? You know?
So I think for me, firstly, what I've learned for me is just to speak to where I'm at. You know, like whether a friend, you know, give me a couch to sleep on. But I've got to ask for that. You know, and humility, right? And move away from my ego. And I mean, it's like, it kind of boils down to, because I think I took this from, you know, being in recovery as well. As a recovering addict is, I needed to ask for help, right? And how I did that was, you know, being honest. So they say how? Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, right?
Man.
You know, how? Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. So I needed to be honest about where I'm at. This is what's happening. You know, and just speak the truth. And, you know, open-minded to, you know, different ideas.
Man.
You know, open-minded to what you're saying. Because I don't know, I have all the answers. So, you know, take the cotton wool out of my ears, put it in my mouth, shut up, and just be willing, you know, willing to do, you know, whatever it takes to stay alive, you know. So I mean, that's kind of the practice for me is you know, instead of picking up a drink, pick up a phone, you know, pick up the phone. Talk to someone, ask for help, you know. Because and just stay humble, right? Just stay humble. But I'm not talking about, like, you know, playing small, you know. It's like I saw it with my cousin, the fact that, like, he came out of prison not so long ago, and he's like, I went home about, you know, to my mom's about, I think last week, and homie's washing my car, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like, now you're playing small, and I don't want him to play small, because we're nobody's doormats. You know, it doesn't mean like, okay, you know, I've messed up so much in my life that I went to prison and stuff, that I'm someone's doormat, you know. Because I think for me, like, I got sober, and the motto I've always been telling myself is, well, I got sober to have a better life. I didn't want the life I wanted. The life was that life I wanted. That life that you know, that past life was crap. And I got sober because I deserve a better life. You know, and I think I deserve a better life. I think I'm a good guy. I know I'm a good guy, and I deserve good things in this life. And that's what I want to, like, you know, claim for my life, and not play small, you know, and not be no one's doormat, because I'm no one's doormat, you know. And regardless of where I'm at in my life, you know, no one has to kind of exploit that, you know, you know, like I'm in this vulnerable place now. Now you want to exploit my vulnerability? No, I'm not a piece of shit, you know. And I you know, the drunk uncle thing, I can still add value, regardless of how my pockets are.
Matter, man.
Yeah, regardless of where I'm at, you know, I matter. I matter, and I know I matter to my daughters. I matter to my family. It's interesting. I had this conversation with my mom. I said, you know, I was flying back from Cape Town the one time, and I said, you know, I wish the plane could crash, right? And I could die. And then what would happen is the airline would pay out my family money.
Wow.
And I told my mom that weird thought that I had. And my mom was like,
What?
What?
Yeah.
No, I want you. And it hit me. These people don't actually, because in my head, I think, you know, it's that black thing of like, you know, I need to provide. I need to look after my parents. You know, need to take everyone out of poverty.
Yeah,
shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my mom's like, no,
don't worry about that.
No, I want you. So, you know,
man.
Yeah.
Yo, Merv, man, I thoroughly enjoyed this, man. I'm out and I just keep talking to you. But I'm just like, like, you know, we had some talking points to this, but I think, man, your story is so real, man. I had to kind of can whatever we had in mind and kind of go with the spirit that we have here. And you know, the key takeaway from this, guy, is for me is the how, man. You know, being honest, being open, and being willing. You know, connecting yourself with guys who, you know, not just guys, you know, but people who can uplift you, man. You know, don't share your vulnerability with people that are gonna take advantage, or people who are gonna put you down or shame you for really being in a place where you also don't understand and you're just looking for solutions, you're looking for answers, right? And also, you know, be real to you, man, to your situation, to your people. But also, number one is you. You know, you can't be anything for anyone that you're not for yourself, I think. You know, healing starts with you. There's an analogy that's made about being in an airplane. You know, you have to put your parachute on. You have to strap yourself up first before you can take care of the next person, right? You have to use your oxygen mask before you can use anyone or help anyone else. So, you know, in a lot of work that we talk to men about is you have to be that person that's centered before you can help, you know. So I'm going through my own journey, and, you know, meeting guys from MKP, listening to stories they're sharing, and not just what they do, like I said, but how it's impacted their lives. And you hear when the guys share, man, it's just like so powerful, because you can see that this is not coming from a place of, yeah, I'm at the mountaintop and I've got it all figured out, but it's more like, hey, come through with us and let's all go in together, because we're all struggling with different things at different points in our lives. So, Merv, man, I appreciate that, bro.
Thank you,
I hope you guys that are tuned in, man, you tap into our Mankind Project. We'll drop all the links in the show notes. We're going to share this, obviously, across socials, man. If you want to reach out to Merv, man, if you're dealing with any kind of addiction or you want to just talk to a brother, we're going to share Merv's details as well. And make sure you reach out to us, connect with us. We're going to be doing some work with him, and I want to invite you to our men's group as well, bro. Just come bless us with a talk, you know,
for sure.
And let's do this thing. And if you got any guys who are looking for content like Manned Up, who want to partner with us, who want to work with us, we're more than open. And shout out to my man Mark. I know we're gonna be connecting soon. So yeah, I'm going away on my camp, my first weekend. Looking forward to it, man. And anything else that you guys need, man, we'll definitely share it.
Thank you. Just thank you,
man.
Thank you for this. Thank you for the. It's a privilege. So thank you. Just thank you.
Man, I wanna thank you too, bro. You did something different for me today, huh? And, you know, I'm also in my world of all kinds of confusing emotions and thoughts and all of that. So you've kind of grounded me for the day, and I appreciate you for that. Yes, sir. Peace and love, guys. It's been another installment of Manned Up Conversations. Make sure you follow us on social media. Make sure you reshare some of our content, you know, share it with your friends and family like we always encourage, and send it to a brother who needs to hear it, man, because we want to empower you guys. We want to give you guys the resources, the tools to help you in whatever situation you're going through. So make sure you tune in. Manned Up Conversations. Peace and love.
Peace.